I'm Eileen Anderson, aka Eileen and Dogs, and I'm going to talk about the difference between natural negative reinforcement and contrived negative reinforcement. Now, I frequently hear people say things like this: well, negative reinforcement in training is not so bad. It's just things like washing my hands when they're dirty, or scratching an itch, or maybe my glasses aren't sitting right on my nose and I adjust them. Those are indeed examples of negative reinforcement. They qualify as natural negative reinforcement. Quoting Paul Chance from Learning and Behavior, natural reinforcers are events that follow spontaneously from a behavior. For an example with my dogs, let's take my dog Summer, who's afraid of thunderstorms. Let's say she's out in the backyard and there's a clap of thunder. She can run up to the porch and through the doggy door and get in the house, where she feels a lot less afraid. That's natural negative reinforcement. She is relieved from her fear by going through the door under her own steam. Now, what if I, as a trainer, decided to insert myself into that situation? What's coming up is an example of contrived negative reinforcement. Again, quoting Paul Chance, contrived reinforcers are events that are provided for someone for the purpose of modifying behavior. So, the scenario is, I'm standing at the back door, there's a clap of thunder, Summer runs to the back door, but I don't let her in. I block the doggy door. Instead, I ask her for a series of behaviors. Then I let her in. Her reinforcement is a negative reinforcement, and it's being allowed to go into the house where she's less afraid. Now, that's a pretty big difference between natural negative reinforcement and contrived negative reinforcement. So I'm going to spend the rest of this movie showing what would happen if we take a natural negative reinforcer, we just saw an example with the fan, and convert that to a contrived negative reinforcement scenario. Let's see what happens when we take these benign sounding examples of natural negative reinforcement and make them into a training scenario. This video began with an example of negative reinforcement that some of you, I'm sure, caught. It was the fact that the fan was blowing my papers around. I took action, I turned off the fan, and the papers stopped blowing around, and so did my hair. All right, we're going to talk about the differences between that natural negative reinforcer, I got to turn the fan off myself, and what if that situation were a contrived negative reinforcement situation? Okay, first of all, someone else has control of the fan. So what if I'm sitting here trying to talk to you and someone else has control of the fan? That's very, very irritating. It's going on and off and I have no control over it. And, you know, if you'd asked me earlier what annoyed me during my day, if this had just happened once and I'd come in and turned off the fan, that wouldn't even be a blip on the screen. But someone else turning on and off the fan without my control is very, very irritating, and it makes it much harder for me to do anything. Okay, the second big difference is that when we use negative reinforcement in training, it doesn't happen just once. We repeat it over and over. Let's see, maybe if I raise my hand like this, the hidden person with the remote, oh good, they'll turn it off. Okay, that's great. Solved that problem, didn't I? Oh, they turned it back on. I have to do it again. So that person with the remote, they keep drilling me. This isn't any fun at all. The heck with it. Oh, I'm out of here. And that brings us to a third difference. That is that the dog will be restrained. The natural response to something you don't like, an aversive stimulus, is to escape it in some way. And that's generally the characteristic of natural negative reinforcement. But the handler has to prevent that particular solution if they're going to use the aversive stimulus for something else. So you will see that the dog is restrained in some way. It may be a collar and leash, it may be just training in an enclosed space, but however they do it, they prevent the dog from leaving. There's a fourth difference. As trainers, we have no way to really know how much discomfort or pain we cause our dogs. With natural negative reinforcement, you get uncomfortable, you do something about it. But we are preventing that response. We're stepping in between that natural relationship. Even something as benign seeming as a fan. Perhaps I have allergies and all that air stirring around really makes me uncomfortable. Perhaps I have dry eyes and it actually hurts. Maybe I'm afraid of it. Finally, the behavior the trainer may want need not have anything to do with the natural escape response. It could be anything. So it's up to the dog to figure it out, and that can sometimes take a while. Guess that one doesn't work anymore. So the next time someone minimizes the effects of using negative reinforcement in training by comparing it to these small examples that happen throughout our day, scratching an itch or turning a fan off if it's blowing your papers around, explain the difference between natural negative reinforcement and contrived negative reinforcement, or show them this movie. Thanks for watching.